Hi, I'm Isabel Ruiz, a candidate for ecoREPU 2023, and I'm a bachelor in science with major in biology. I studied at Cayetano Heredia Peru University, and I focus my thesis on marine biology and studying the history of Agropecten purpuratus, which is the concha abanico. So I'm going to tell you about one of my most relevant research experience, which was participating on the research group at my university, actually to develop that thesis. So my university research group was focused on studying how climate and environment change shape the diversity, shapes and determine the biodiversity we see today in a wide range of scales of time scales going from 20 million years ago to today. So my thesis was focused to study the history of this species and what could tell us about marine Humboldt current ecosystem for time. So the main objective of my thesis was to estimate the divergence time between both species, calibrating the phylogenetic tree with fossil data and contrast it with the previous fossil phylogenetic hypothesis. Because I use my thesis was bioinformatics, so I focus on retrieving all data from GenBank. So I didn't have the experimental part because my thesis was developed during 2021, and we were like in an hybrid system between presentiality and virtuality, but that was one of the challenges I faced. But I learned how to develop, and I learned the essentiality of data, and that we have a lot of information out there we could look through. We could develop actually very good studies that are going to be the basis to develop another studies with including more sequence. We could have a very good research we could publish in any relevant journal. So that's one of the points that was lacking from my thesis: sequencing another new not necessarily new species, but for example in Agropecten ventricosus we didn't have more than one mitogenome, so we needed that probably for our next study. So in this thesis, other challenge I faced was writing, and it wasn't precisely easy. I write reports and other kind of articles from my university, not precisely scientific articles, but just like essays. But it wasn't the same thing because I have to summarize like 20 to 30 articles per day. So it was kind of different. I have to, at the end of summarizing, I have to pick the relevant paper. So after that I learned about discipline and that I have to have a better time management just to go through it, and I have to include that time because I used to think that I read and write, but it's not necessarily like that. So I learned to be flexible and to have a better time management for that. I also learned that multidisciplinary teams are very good. In which sense? Because I read a lot. I read about fossils and geology, so I am not an expert in that area. But we had like the help. We have the help of geologists, which is part of the group, and paleontologists who help. Well, actually not focus on molluscan invertebrate, but also helped. So that was one of the most key and relevant points in my group. Points that I learned that we need to be very multidisciplinary now just to pursue and solve these sort of questions, these sort of complex questions that is not just solved with biology. And as I went through a lot of data, I also learned that science is a very intergenerational issue. Well, no issue, like a very intergenerational topic. Which is something that means that we have we need to have a lot of patience about it, and probably our results won't be like directly useful this time. So thank you very much for giving me your time, for this opportunity. I hope you're okay. So bye. Thank you.